A voice of disbelief echoed throughout the hospital. It was Ling, a 22-year-old boy, asking the doctor if he really wasn't sick. He began narrating that he recently noticed everyone being strange, always doing some strange actions. The doctor then asked if the people around him were breathing fire, shape-shifting, etc. Ling was surprised that the doctor got accurate, to which he told him not to worry too much. It was a condition often experienced by older people. He also revealed that socially disconnected or touchers may experience it, hitting him right where it hurts. The doctor dismissed him and called for the next patient. As he left, he overheard the doctor fixing the patient's brain problem using Photoshop. He turned back with an exaggerated disbelief, thinking that the doctor's brain might have the problem instead. The doctor explained how it works as a guide for the injection of spiritual energy. Ling awkwardly waved his goodbyes and excused himself. He walked out, not expecting the doctor to be like that. As he walked out, the speakers blasted the announcement of the world entering the new era, people manipulating fire, some with the ability to turn stone into gold. Lots of people with extraordinary abilities began emerging in the city. This phenomenon was referred to as the spiritual energy resurgence. It was believed that plants and animals mutated along with humans. But in Ling's eyes, they looked like lunatics as their abilities were non-existent. He even thought that he might be the one who's gone crazy. As he reached his apartment unit, he saw the landlord and a woman talking about Yasi's awakened abilities. He looked at them with eyes of subtle disdain, then walked inside as he wondered if seeing their abilities non-existent was his ability. He climbed the stairs as he contemplated his situation. As he reached the next floor, a clothless woman named Yasi was standing in front of him. His jaw dropped upon seeing this. Yasi was surprised. He could see her. Given that she awakened an invisibility ability, she couldn't make sense that he was able to see her. He was blushing, not knowing what to do. He fell silent and approached, backing Yasi to a corner. He extended his hands as if to reach for her, to which she closed her eyes as she got pinned against the wall. She was blushing, then opened her eyes only to see Ling holding a lizard. He went inside with it, mumbling about being lucky with this catch. Yasi thought that he did not really see her, but was looking at the lizard behind. But in reality, he really saw her and just played it off with his quick thinking. His wide grin almost reached his ears. Being a lunatic isn't so bad either. But then Yasi came inside and followed him. He was panicking at this situation. She scanned the room as Ling thought that she was here to confirm if he really didn't see her. He placed the lizard in a water bottle, mumbling about being broke and only affording cheap liquor. He smiled, confident that his plan would work. He placed the bottle on the table as Yasi looked at him. She leaned closer to check the bottle. It looks just like her dad's medicinal liquor. He sat on the couch and said he'll watch a game first. Yasi was behind him and monitored his every action, making him feel uneasy. He was waiting for her to leave, blushing as she thought that what she's doing was a blatant double torture. The television played the game, and he pretended to watch as she continued checking him. She then saw the opportunity, then sat on the floor. Her exposed body was within Ling's reach. She noticed that there was no change in his expression. To test him further, she showed more of her plots. He reacted happily while playing it off as his reaction to the game. She looked at the television, then heaved a sigh of relief as she concluded that she was indeed invisible in his eyes. Ling was cheering for the game as she went back. She closed the door shut. The lizard came out of the bottle. He sat and heaved a sigh of relief as well, mission success. He then noticed a commotion from outside. People were there to pick up Yasi, the landlord's daughter. She threw a glance on his window, while he quickly hid himself out of her sight. Shortly after, there was a knock on his door. He asked who it was, to which the enormous stature of the landlord greeted him. He threw his things out of the room as he drove him out. He argued that he didn't miss any rent and asked why he was kicking him out. He then revealed that Yasi feels uncomfortable about him being around. He turned back and told him to leave. He cried as he wondered if this was what they called the woman's intuition. He whipped out his phone, checking for any cheap houses nearby. It was nighttime. Investigators were sniffing around the Warm Nest apartment to investigate the case of 13 residents that have gone missing. They managed to trace the presence of an awakener at the place. One of them began describing the nature of the victims. The man responded that the Bureau of Anomalies' top priority is to either recruit or eliminate the awakeners they encounter. The man boasted that they were a class awakeners and there was no need to worry. However, they still deemed extra caution necessary as they went inside, not knowing that they themselves had fallen to the ominous trap. The seemingly ordinary apartment turned out to be a hunting ground of a monster. It was already too late when they realized it. The monster's teeth snapped shut. At his previous apartment, Lane was packing his things as he whined about refunding his money. He even mocked the landlord, who said that money wasn't his problem anymore. He closed his baggage angrily. He was short on money. He laid down the bed frustratedly as he wondered where he could find a cheap house. He browsed his phone, determined to find a cheap place. He saw the Warm Nest apartment offering a monthly rent of $500. He was delighted that it was even in the prime city center. However, this was too good to be true, definitely suspicious. But he still stood up and planned to see the place for himself. It was nighttime. Ling found himself standing in front of the Warm Nest apartment. He looked at it, guessing that the monthly rent at that place must be at least over 10,000. He knocked on the door, then pushed it open to enter. He was greeted by a dark surrounding. He walked through its ominous corridor, remarking that it doesn't even have a light. Then a woman boasting her ominous aura emerged from the dark corner of the corridor. He was surprised, but then she gently said that the rent at that place was very cheap. He was delighted to hear it, chuckling, heartily thinking it was like a miracle. The landlady led the way while Ling questioned the power outage as he followed. She seemed to have just realized that there were indeed no lights. She pressed the switch, turning on the lights. She then led him to the room while he found her gestures cute, climbed on her shoulder, then angrily hissed at him. He apologized that the cat couldn't stand the light. She then volunteered to tour him around the room. The door was shut close, leaking that ominous aura once again. Ling introduced himself and handed his ID card. He scanned the place, comparing it to his previous apartment. As he asked if the place was really cheap, the landlady was leaking her aura. She sneaked behind him to attack, but her attempt was put on a halt as he managed to catch something. He was now holding an angry cat. Assuming that it was the one who ruined the electrical wirings around the house, she awkwardly tried to make excuses. Deep inside, she was wondering how he was able to casually suppress her demonic power. She was glaring at him while he was cluelessly admiring the place. He then knocked on the wall to test its soundproofing capabilities. The landlady looked at him. Seems like he hasn't noticed anything strange. She was even wondering if he had a powerful artifact on him. These artifacts emerge after the resurgence of spiritual energy. Once normal objects that developed various abilities, she slyly smiled, scheming to make him remove the artifact. Ling smiled as he said he made up his mind, to which she threw a sharp glare, causing the smoke detector to malfunction. He wondered what was happening while the landlady leaned closer to him in a flirty way as she apologized for the inconvenience. She cutely told him to wash up first, to which he agreed. He thought that it was no problem for a place worth $500. He was smiling as he went on his way to wash up. The door closed while the landlady revealed her fangs as things seemingly went her way. She exuded that ominous aura, confident that she could handle him. The shower was turned on. Ling was leisurely taking his time to wash himself. He remembered how he had to fetch water back then just to take a bath, but now he can always enjoy hot water baths anytime he wants. He happily went into the bathtub, enjoying himself as the door behind him opened. He was surprised as he noticed it quickly covering his body and asking who was there. The landlady, now in a cat costume, entered the shower together with 4 cats. He drooled at the side of her while she cutely lunged forward to attack him. He was cluelessly blushing as he thought that it was a role-playing game. But knowing he wasn't handsome enough to impress her, he shook his head. He then asked if she had something she needed from him, suggesting she let him put on his clothes first. But the landlady misinterpreted this and thought that one of his clothes was indeed an artifact against her. She raised her claws, controlling his clothes telekinetically to bring them away from him. The cats picked them up and took off, while Ling desperately chased after his clothes. But the cat landlady stood in his way. He gritted his teeth, but he couldn't get past her as he hesitated. The cat landlady again misinterpreted it, thinking he did to avoid being devoured by her demonic energy. She charged forward, leaping in the air over Ling. As he stepped back, they were both stunned. Finding himself backed into a corner, he proceeded to threaten her with his rocket. But the cat spirit in the landlady's body revealed itself, not buying whatever he just said. She continued to leap forward, to which she had no choice but to close his eyes and stop her. He stepped forward and hugged the cat landlady, surprising her. He blushed as he found her body soft and squishy. The cat angrily hissed at him. He then pushed it away while something seemed to have triggered within her. She fell unconscious while the cat angrily meowed at him. It ran away, leaving Ling and the landlady on the floor. He held her unconscious body in his arms. He wondered what was going on there. The cat looked back, thinking that it must escape away from that powerful person. In her room, the landlady was lying on her bed. Standing beside her was Ling, relieved that she passed out since he couldn't have held on if she continued. He was about to call for emergency help, but his phone was missing. He remembered that the cats took his things and hid them somewhere. He gave up on the idea and instead decided to go outside to seek help. Outside, an S-class awakener named Thunder was waiting. He remarked on the overwhelming amount of demonic energy emitted from the place. Then he saw Ling walking out of the apartment. He remembered that there was indeed a person inside the apartment before. Ling approached him to borrow his phone, but he misinterpreted it as a trap. He then reported that someone in the apartment fell ill and urgently needed help. Thunder thought he was trying to lure him inside the apartment and attack him. He offered his phone with a smile, scheming something. He thanked him as he reached for the phone. Thunder saw the chance. He immediately grabbed his wrist. He then introduced himself as an S-class awakener from the Awakener Bureau. He then summoned bolts of lightning, seemingly electrocuting him. Thunder remarked that Ling doesn't have a trace of demonic energy. Meanwhile, Ling learned that he was an awakener too, sighing as he did not want to deal with these lunatics. He let go his hand, to which he whined that his hand got hurt. Thunder said he'll deal with the mastermind first, then take him back for interrogation, leaving him confused. As the awakener went on his way, Ling remembered that the girl was still undressed. He immediately stood in his way to stop him. Thunder was surprised that he was still standing after taking his thunderbolt. He exuded an immense amount of lightning, saying he won't hold back this time. But given that he couldn't see their abilities, he thought of him blabbering nonsense. The awakener raised his hand to summon lightning. In his eyes though, the man was just waving his hand. He turned to the onlookers and told them to not be afraid, but then they began panicking and ran away. He told them to not run away. Meanwhile, Thunder smiled. He said that he finally revealed his true form. Ling was clueless. Behind him was a massive monster cat. The cat spoke, saying it couldn't believe that there was another expert outside as he charged at Thunder. He prepared to unleash his thunder armor as he weaved his hand signs. He yelled and the clash between their massive powers ensued. Meanwhile, Ling was both speechless and clueless. In his eyes, Thunder and the cat were just dancing. He tried to intervene since there's still a patient needing immediate attention. But seeing them continue to act like lunatics, he heaved a sigh of relief. He had no choice. He kicked the kitty away. It ran off as he gave him empty threats. Thunder asked where the cat was going, then ran off after it and left Ling behind. He wore a face of utter cluelessness as he couldn't make sense of what was happening. He had no choice but to go back and carry the patient to the hospital, but she was already awake when he got back. He smiled and suggested for her to go to the hospital, but she was skeptical of his identity and asked who he was. He was surprised that she had already forgotten him. He recalled the events from earlier. Her behavior was suspicious. This made him think that this landlady might be an awake nurse as well. If that was the case, he was worried that she might have also forgotten about her promise of letting him stay there. He cried over this missed opportunity for a cheap, good apartment. As he was thinking, he heard her say that he was not a bad person. Though agreeing that he wasn't a bad person, he questioned her being too trusting. However, her decision came from her observation of how he reacted when he realized that she lost her memory. He smiled, nice deduction. Suddenly, she felt a sharp pain in her head. He worriedly asked what was wrong with her again. It turns out that she finally recalled everything. She introduced herself as Rong, the cat lover landlady of the Worn Mess department. But after the spiritual energy resurgence, she was possessed by a cat demon named Little Black. However, Ling said that all those talks about demons and spirits were just people's imaginations. She apologized as her memories were foggy due to possession and thanked him for driving away the cat demon. But Ling couldn't focus on what she's saying as her body was exposed, embarrassed as she covered herself and asked if he did something bad to her. He said that he didn't do anything bad to her, but she was still skeptical. He insisted that he really didn't do anything and saved her instead. But deep inside, he was thankful that there wasn't any evidence left, but is not out of the woods yet. Rong asked why he was afraid to face her. He didn't know what she meant by that. She concluded that he was indeed up to something sinister. In his defense, he said that he couldn't dare look at her body, but she didn't buy this excuse. She pointed her finger to his cheek, asking what he really did to her. Ling calmed her down and assured that he would turn around. He closed his eyes as he faced Rong, earning him her respect for showing basic etiquette. He then asked her what purpose does clothing serve for her. She replied that it was for keeping warm. It makes the oneself look good and attracts the boys. She then spoke as if she was a cat, remarking at humans not having a natural warm fur. He was confused as to what she meant by excluding herself from humans. She apologized. Turns out she was still influenced by the cat demon. He pondered her situation, thinking that her common sense has been distorted by the cat demon. Ling was confused, to which she said a similar context in the cat tribe, where cats usually keep their distance from a bald cat. Changing the topic, he offered to find some clothes for her to wear. As he opened the door, he was greeted by a malicious surge of evil energy. He was surprised. Before him laid a pile of unconscious bodies. The next day at the same building, these bodies can be seen being carried out. The bystanders were gossiping about the apartment being cursed and causing many deaths. As the landlady, Rong aggressively retaliated and said no one died. He clarified that those people just lost their consciousness temporarily, but the bystanders were skeptical that they would be saved. He saw Thunder within the crowd, the lunatic who was dancing with the cat. He turned back after noticing that he saw him. He smiled and called to him, saying he was very rude to him last time. He now understood the situation he was in, but Ling tried to excuse himself, not wanting to be involved with the likes of him. But Thunder won't let him and said that a catastrophic battle would have happened if not for him. He smiled, asking if he was able to catch the cat demon, but he revealed that it managed to slip away. He thought of it as nonsense since there's no person who could catch a cat with their bare hands. He then wrapped his arms around his shoulder and asked him to join the Awakener Bureau, but he said he was just an ordinary person and that he won't join. He ran away, unwilling to reconsider. On a bench, Ron can be seen sitting worriedly as she looks at her phone. He then greeted her and asked what was wrong, to which she then smiled at him. She happily browsed her phones, then showed him his rent being raised to $35,000 per month. He was surprised and asked why she suddenly increased, to which she said she had no choice as people weren't brave enough to move in again after that incident. But he knew that he had nothing to do with her situation. However, Ron clarified that she was asking for him to sponsor her while flaunting her body. He looked at her while blushing, saying her common sense hasn't fully returned. She then promised to cover for the first month since he saved him. He pretended to agree, but then started browsing new places through his phone. Suddenly, Thunder emerged from behind and asked what he was so busy with, to which he replied he was looking for a house. He then happily offered him $1 million. Ling was surprised. $1 million is the minimum salary of an operative in the Awakener Bureau. He was delighted to hear that an S-level Awakener salary is that much. He added that it was nothing to him since his abilities far surpass S rank. He then asked for the lowest level Awakener salary, to which he said it was $100,000. He was extremely delighted to hear that. Thunder said that only those with useless abilities were placed at C rank, but he thought it was the best option with no one paying attention, but was still getting paid. He smiled at the thought of getting $100,000 without doing anything. He then asked him to let him join as a C rank Awakener and nothing else. Thunder didn't know what he was scheming, but it's alright as long as he could take him back to the bureau first. At the building, Thunder asked Ling to follow him. Before them was a dashing luxury car, revealing that this is one of the many benefits an executive can get, but he wasn't really interested in these things. Mere luxury cars won't make him get too involved with these lunatics. Meanwhile, he misinterpreted this and said that he was a true master for having lofty sentiment towards fame and fortune. However, Ling was still checking out the luxury car, thinking it was a waste. Thunder opened the door for him and politely asked him to get in, but then a voice interrupted. It was Rong, to which he said he could now afford the rent. But she revealed that his rent increased to $50,000 per month, surprising him. It was because he was now an executive of the Awakener Bureau that she decided to raise her rent. But she offered some alternatives if he didn't want to spend that much money. He could give her a massage, but Ling was hesitant, saying they weren't close enough to do that. He was wondering why he should massage her, to which she said that she needed her fur massage as a cat or else they would become uncomfortable. Hearing that, the innocent Ling quickly agreed. For him, it was just like petting a cat. She then clarified that professional massages should be thorough with every session for every part of her body not being shorter than an hour. His lecherous mug blushed upon hearing this, then suggested they start massaging the front. But since cats like her were cautious creatures, he had to earn her trust completely before that. He casually agreed, but Rong asked him to take this seriously or else she will double her rent. But he smiled in response, saying she could multiply the rent by 10 if he regretted it. She then left and bade farewell. It was a win-win situation for him, getting to massage such a pretty lady all day. It was also a win-win situation for her, exploiting him to do free labor. She smiled at the thought. Meanwhile, the luxury car drove by the mountainside. Thunder began explaining about the Awakener Bureau, though Ling seemed uninterested. The S-Class Awakener admires his nonchalant attitude on worldly possessions, but he wasn't out of options. Artifacts would entice him for sure. He proceeded to reveal the artifacts that can enhance their abilities, but they were ordinary and useless objects for him. He turned back and gazed outside the window, earning more of Thunder's respect. With the attitude Ling has shown so far, he believes that he might be reluctant to join the Bureau. He is now determined to ensure that the Bureau doesn't underestimate him and keep him satisfied. Seeing this, he only heaved a sigh and thought he was being a pain in the head. They finally arrived at the place. Standing before them was the towering building of the Awakeners Bureau. Thunder asked for his opinion. He was unimpressed, thinking it was just an ordinary industrial park. He remarked at the seemingly lacking military installations, to which he said they had an impressive barrier to compensate for it. He asked for his opinion again, to which he clapped sarcastically. They toured through the hallways as he explained things to him. But for him, the whole world seemed to have gone mad. Seeing how things are, he thinks that future battles would be nothing but a thing of mockery. Thunder noticed his dismissive attitude, smiling as he thought of bringing out the big guns. From behind, a voice was heard. It was Captain Yang, a muscular man with arms crossed in front of his chest as he greeted them. Thunder greeted him back, then introduced Ling as a new recruit discovered. He then introduced Yang to him, the captain of the first team at the Bureau and the chief among S-rank Awakeners. He seemed surprised upon hearing his name, to which he anticipated that he already heard of his name. But it wasn't the case. He just felt that the name does not quite match him. In his eyes, Yang was just a cute little schoolgirl. Thunder asked him about the mismatch. Yang has chiseled muscles, a face reeking of testosterone, a jawline sharper than kitchen knives. He had such a manly and mountain-like stature, and his name suits him well. But Ling was unimpressed. Yang was nothing like they described. She was just a cute little girl. Seems like the lunatics are up with their game again. Yang then asked about Ling's ability. He then realized that Yang must have used some ability to hide her true appearance. He laughed it off and said he was just a C-rank awakener. Yang was surprised that Thunder personally recruited a low rank like him. C-rank awakeners were generally quite useless, but it was a different case if he could see her true appearance. She crossed her arms wondering what his ability was. Thunder then asked him to come as he held his shoulder. They leaned closer and he whispered for him to spill his abilities. He then cleared his throat happily revealing that he has a bit of knowledge in physiognomy. Yang was surprised to learn this, thinking he has the potential to become a prophet who can foresee the future. But that wasn't the case as he belongs to the congenital type of awakeness with no growth potential. She looked down on him saying it was a pity. Ling extended his hands for a handshake, asking her not to look down on him. She said that all humans were born equal with no distinction of high or low. As he shook her hands, he blushed as he felt it was smooth, soft, and sexy. Yang then excused himself and left. Ling was speechless while Thunder asked for his understanding of him asking a lot of questions. However, he was thinking whether to tell him that Yang was actually a woman in disguise. He then told him to show his true strength so that no one will question him anymore, but he said it was no need. He preferred to hide his strength to stay on the fringes. He then urged for them to go and handle the procedures for the C-rank awakeness. He filled up papers, took identity verification, and registered his eye scan. They then handed him his C-rank awakener ID card. He asked if it was the proof of being a C-rank awakener, to which Thunder clarified it was just for passing the review. They then entered the testing area, but Thunder proposed to show him something good first. He asked him to follow him to the treasure of the Awake Nerd Bureau. He plans to show him some real good stuff, so if he would give up being a C-class, Ling sighed. He still hasn't given up. Thunder began explaining the powerful artifacts being essential items for awakeness. Ling seemed interested to these divine artifacts that he mentioned, making him smile. However, he was wondering that such an important place doesn't even have one guard. Thunder revealed that the barrier they have compensates for the security. They were then met by Yang and her troops, asking what they were doing there. He repeated the question. The key supervisor replied, saying that they received intel that someone intends to tamper with the artifacts, but he knew that gathering supervisors requires reporting to the institute. However, they disregarded this proceedings because of the situation's urgency. Ling didn't speak, but he thought that Yang have quite the network. He knew that they would probably be in big trouble after this incident. Yang excused themselves to go in first, to which Yang immediately complied. He replied, saying he'll take the new guy to inspect detail first. He commanded to open the door, to which everyone obeyed and did as he said. In his mind, Ling knew that this woman was here to steal the artifacts. He was wondering whether to help or not, putting him in a real dilemma. But then he was able to think of a bright idea. Suddenly, Yang blushed. Turns out, he was holding his shoulder as he praised her muscles. He took advantage of the fact that he was a woman disguising herself as a man. By making her uncomfortable through physical contact, he aims to either make her reveal her true form or make her flee. He sighed, thinking how he sacrificed too much for his career. The door was opened while one of his men turned to Yang, who was blushing from Ling's physical touch. She regained her composure, then told him that they could work out together later. He then gave up on the idea of grabbing her as it would ruin his image. Thunder proposed to become his training partner, to which he said there was no need. Inside, the three of them scanned the place. He bumped into her shoulder, making her feel uncomfortable. She turned to him while he apologized for being distracted. She then asked how a C-rank like him can bear the energy pressure of the artifacts, thinking he had some special ability. Thunder revealed that he was using spiritual power to protect him. Then he questioned her for reacting strongly when Ling bumped her. She made an excuse saying he was on guard since the artifact might be stolen. She added that he would have been dead if she wasn't able to pull back. Yang then told him to take him and leave as soon as possible since he might drain his spiritual power. He looked back, thinking he couldn't afford any unexpected variable in his plans. Ling held his chin and looked up, then clung onto Yang and asked him to protect him. Seeing this, Thunder thought that Ling was trying to get close to Yang as has been keeping distance from him. He was about to propose something, but Yang already agreed to his suggestion. Deep inside, she's planning to use him as a fodder to distract Thunder when a fight breaks out. Ling held her arms and thanked her, to which she said she doesn't have to stick so close. He said that it was all for safety, clinging onto her arms even knowing she was a woman. She looked at her, looking forward to punishing him for these insolent acts. They stood before the artifact. It was a piece of jade ruler, nothing special. Yang held the glass casing, to which Thunder immediately called her out for doing so. She smiled, lifting it as she said she needed to inspect it thoroughly. Ling looked at the situation, thinking that urgent matters require swift actions. He suddenly grabbed her chest on the pretense that there was a fly, making her extremely uncomfortable. She then screamed, hitting him in the face using the glass casing. He laid down to the floor, wincing in pain. Thunder asked Yang. Her voice sounded like a woman's. She didn't reply and immediately landed a kick against him. As he was sent backward, he asked her what she was doing. She only smiled, then finally revealed her true form, a cute little girl. Thunder was surprised, questioning her identity. Ling held his swollen face, seemingly surprised at her transforming ability. He then charged forward to subdue her, but she unleashed the power from the divine artifact to attack him. She then mocked him for having trouble with a little girl like her. Thunder was subdued instead, while Ling looked at them with a hopeless expression. She turned to him, aiming the jade ruler at him. He dismissively said that he posed no threat to her. He was wishing for her to let him go. She then threatened to cut off his arms because of touching her earlier. He argued that he was helping her swat a fly, not knowing she was really a girl. But she didn't buy his excuses and charged forward with her ruler. Closed his eyes trying to hold himself back from hitting a woman. The ruler was inches away from his forehead, to which she asked how he was able to keep his calm even after being so close. He tried to make excuses to cover up the fact that he has no abilities. He thought to himself that he acted according to what was expected of him. But then she said that he must be struggling to get up, sobbing and begging for mercy from her aura and the artifacts. He sighed. It was too embarrassing to cooperate. Yang was fascinated that his mental defense was stronger than that of an S-rank awakener despite being a C-rank. He closed his eyes, thinking it would be alright as long as he doesn't expose that he doesn't have any abilities. Suddenly, grabbed her collar. She placed the jade ruler by his neck, threatening to kill him. Before Yang could take any action, voices were heard rushing through the place. She smiled, remarking that they came pretty fast. She then jumped high to escape, landing smoothly on the floor. She said that she will let him go this time. Thunder was worried that she would escape, asking Ling to hurry and take action. But then he acted like he was dizzy, confusing him. He said that he was knocked out, but he didn't buy it and requested him to stop that woman. However, he couldn't care less. He continued acting like he was a weakling. Thunder had no choice but to give up, saying he'll ensure he doesn't get exposed. The bureau needs manpower, and he'll have to go through the recruitment process by himself. Upon hearing his promise, he took the card and immediately complied. As he went on his way, Thunder couldn't help but sigh at his attitude. At the bureau, several people were exhibiting their abilities. However, these people only seemed like lunatics in his eyes. He then saw someone he recognized. It was Yasi in her invisible mode. She was surprised upon seeing him, saying that he could actually see her. He panicked as he remembered what happened back then, but he was quick with his wits, immediately doing an impromptu acting. He pretended not to see her. His acting was impeccable. She was finally convinced. She watched him as went on his way. She then turned off his invisibility mode, then called to him. He pretended to only see her that moment. She then asked when did she awaken, to which he said not too long ago. She asked for his ability, to which he said was something like fortune-telling. He thought that she was being too pushy. She then deduced that he hadn't been assessed yet, clinging onto his arm as she volunteered to take him there as a friend. But Ling knew of her hidden agenda. She just wanted to confirm his abilities. He then broke free from her grasp, saying he didn't know of any friends who would kick people out. He then demanded for them to keep their distance from one another. She only winked as she teased him, calling him an annoying ghost. He then found himself knocking on a door. He was greeted by a man, asking for his identity. He introduced himself, then the man told him to follow him. He said that abilities were tested with specialized equipment and that power can be enhanced with training. He figured out this was the reason that Yasi doesn't have to remove her clothes to become invisible anymore. He then led him to the spiritual energy power device that they developed. But for Ling, it was nothing more than a mere handcart. He said that these carts were equipped with special formations to measure one's power. For the ability, they just need to explain it to the tester. He then held the cart, which looked like an ordinary handcart to him. He was aiming to move it to the sea level. He fell to the ground as he pushed it. It was so light. The tester was delighted. He was an rank-awake nerd. However, his target was only C rank. He then pulled it back to the sea level, confusing the tester. He told him to come out first. As he exited, he asked if the instrument malfunctioned. He then asked for the test result, but the dumbfounded tester couldn't make sense that the device showed a rank and changed to sea level. He smiled mischievously. Looks like he didn't see anything. He then turned to him and asked for his ability. He found the test result suspicious, thinking it was related to his ability. He dismissed it off as mere luck. The tester was still confused, to which Ling said that he can randomly change his luck. The tester remarked that it was an unreliable ability in crucial moments. He still registered him as AB rank with a monthly salary of 200,000. He heaved a sigh of relief after his bluff worked. It was almost nighttime. The tester gave him his salary card and some notes for the bureau's new employees. Looking at his salary, he was delighted. Back in his apartment, Rong was waiting. He asked what she was doing in his room, to which she said it was time to work for her. Ling had no idea about what she meant, to which she reminded her of the massage work. She suddenly got on top of him, flustering him. He blushed. She wasn't kidding about fur brushing. He then grabbed her waist and pressed her body against his. He cares at her chin, making her extremely delighted. He thought that the cat demon possession have completely changed her common sense and habits. He got carried away and touched her heart, to which he immediately felt a sharp pain. Rong bit his hands for touching the restricted zone of the cat clan. He brushed it off as an accident and urged her to continue. However, she got up and told him to practice more for next time. Then a voice from outside was heard, making him confused as he knew that no one dared to rent this cursed place. She replied that people from far away don't know. They were greeted by the cute little woman from earlier. She was currently disguised as a lady tenant named Yuna. However, it was useless to his eyes that don't perceive any abilities as real. Rong then pulled his hands and urged him to go. She looked back, thinking to let her slide as long as she doesn't do anything outrageous, but the disguised mole doesn't seem to be someone to stay still. It was nighttime. They went shopping. She then saw a shop owner waving a golden bell to attract customers. Her pupils dilated at the sight of the bell. She then charged toward the woman, snatching her bell playfully. She ran off to the dim alleyway, then played with the bell like the cat she is. The woman chased after her, demanding her to give the bell back. Turns out, it was an artifact that makes customers flock into her store and spend money. She then got bored of the bell and threw it back. She caught it saying she would have regretted it if she didn't give it back. She then went off to find Ling, but she bumped her head accidentally. Suddenly, a group of goons were surrounding them. They demanded her to hand over the magic bell, to which she asked why they would want to take it from her, but the goons knew of its real value and threatened her to hand it over. The woman was worried for her life. Then one of the goons noticed a beauty behind them. They looked at her with lascivious desires in their minds. They stood tall, trying to coerce her into submission, but then she assumed a cat pose, amusing everyone. Suddenly, a black cat emerged from the top of the fence. Everyone was on guard, while Rong stood under the shadow of her companion. Meanwhile, Ling was searching for her. He searched the places where cats would like to be. Suddenly, he heard a scream of despair from a not-so-distant place, alarming him. Rong was laying on the ground. The goons revealed that the place has been sealed by a barrier. The cat turned out to be the demon cat, telling her that she needed the cat demon's power. The cat licked her leg, then climbed by her shoulder as it tried to entice her into accepting it again. Suddenly, a voice was heard, making everyone turn around. It was Ling, mocking the stinky cat demon. The goon leader ordered everyone to stop him and get the bell. One of the goons cast his bind spell against him. Ling realized that these people were awakeners. Since they generally don't engage in physical combat, he was confident in winning with just a weapon in hand. The goon leader charged to attack him. He gripped the metal pipe hard, hitting the goon leader in the back of his head. The goons were worried for their leader. He lay defeated beneath Ling's feet. They were surprised. Only S-rank awakeners can defeat their boss. Ling held his pipe firmly, readying himself for the next fight. One of the goons pointed to the cat and blamed it. The long-haired goon planned to eliminate the cat, leaving Ling to the other goon. The goon approached, then activated his bear's back skill that enlarged his body. In his eyes though, he was just nonsensically flexing his muscles. He took advantage of him not moving, then bashed his jaw with the metal pipe. The long-haired man thought he was indeed an awakener. He approached his cowardly mutt with his bloody metal pipe. He turned to the woman holding the bell, then snatched it. He activated the artifact, now ready to face him with his newfound confidence. He cast the spatial cut skill using the bell, but they had no effects on him. He was dumbfounded. Even an ordinary S-rank awakener wouldn't be able to withstand the bell. He raised the metal pipe and said that some things are better not thought about too deeply. In no time, he dropped the metal pipe. The last goon lay defeated on the ground. Rong immediately ran to hug him, wearing a sad and fearful look on her face. He caressed her back to comfort her. The woman gave them the bell, saying she doesn't want to experience that kind of thing again. He then took the bell and gave it to Rong. She received it, asking him to promise that he'll catch the cat demon sooner. He smiled awkwardly. How is he supposed to catch a cat? She added that he'll have to accompany her every day if he can't catch it. She also added that he would have to accompany him at night, as well as during cloudy and rainy days, to which he agreed helplessly. The goon leader woke up on his phone ringing. He picked up the call and reported that the mission failed. It was the little mole demanding him to explain it briefly. He reported that a powerful cat demon controlled an ordinary person to attack them. She then told him to go back to the base and accept the punishment. She dropped the call, threatening to kill him when he found the magic bell. The next morning, Rong was serving breakfast. They sat by the dining table silently. Ling thought that their relationship would improve after the incident. However, she could never feel okay about exploiting him as his labor. They laughed awkwardly. He then stood up and excused himself to go to work. He opened the door only to be greeted by Yuna. She pretended to fall, to which she caught him. She then greeted him in a seductive manner, making him flustered as he knew who she was. Yuna leaned closer, trying to seduce Ling. It was revealed that besides chick shifting, she also has the ability to control others. However, this ability didn't seem to work on him as he pushed her away gently. He couldn't believe that she was actually greeting him first, skeptical of her real intentions. She couldn't help but think that his mental strength is indeed strong, seeing how her ability has no effect on him. Rong asked if he wasn't supposed to work, to which he immediately left. She smiled, knowing patience was all she needed. From the corner of her eyes, she then saw the magic bell on the landlady's necklace. She aggressively attacked her, asking what that was about. She recalled that the cat demon stole the magic bell, and this apartment was also troubled by that same cat demon. She smiled, concluding that the landlady was a cat demon. She asked if she was helping the tenants clean, to which she said no. She thought that it would be tiring for her to provide cleaning services. She then asked if the two of them were together, to which she said yes. The cat demon and Ling. This could get tricky for her. She then asked what he likes, clarifying that she just wanted to build good neighborly relations. Rong thought of his preferences, revealing that he was very diligent with the tasks assigned by Rong. She smiled upon knowing this. Ling is a simp, she concluded. At the Awakener Bureau, Ling found himself getting dragged by Yasi. She insisted on helping him get acquainted with the environment. She added that the Awakener Bureau is very humanized and that friends can be assigned to the same group. However, he does not see her as a friend. As he looked after her, he was wondering why she was so persistent with him. He guessed that she still probably doubted whether he could see through her invisibility. They then arrived at the third team's place. Inside the building, Ling was greeted by the echoing of the instructor's fierce voice. Captain Diane, the leader, ordered everyone to do 200 more squats. A man raised his hand and asked if he still had to do it when he already transferred to another team. He angrily turned to him and told him to get lost. The man walked past Ling as he exited. Yasi revealed that Dane was from a military background and was very strict, but this only meant that he will have fewer team members, making him smile. He asked her why she chose this team, to which she said she wanted to improve quickly under his strict guidance. He smiled sarcastically, knowing it was a lie. Dane took notice of their presence and told them to come and join the training. Yasi looked at him, thinking about applying for transfer as soon as she figured out his ability. Dane ordered him to introduce himself briefly. He complied, stating his name and his B rank grade, as well as his bluff ability to randomly change his luck. Murmurs of skepticism about his ability echoed through the air, saying his skill was unreliable. Yasi also thought it was a mediocre ability, that there's no way it can see through her invisibility. But then Diane's voice was heard. He said that the ability he had was very suspicious. Ling panicked and said that it was the assessment result from the identification department. However, it was revealed that they weren't responsible for detailed research. He panicked, thinking that his fabricated ability might have been exposed. He said that the identification department may have overestimated his ability, saying he was just AC grade. He was hoping for them to not think of him as a liar. Diane said that the identification has instead underestimated his ability, surprising him. He once again asked what his ability was, to which he hesitantly said it was luck. He added that it was sometimes good and sometimes bad. Diane then asked him what luck was, then yelled that it was when the entire world changes because of person. He pointed his fingers to him, including that he has the ability to control the entire world. Dion was extremely delighted and assured him that he will help him find the right direction and enhance his abilities. This wasn't what Ling planned to do. He then wrapped his arms around his shoulder and happily remarked about his unlimited potential. Yasi then raised her hand and asked if his ability could immunize him against others' abilities. After thorough analysis, he concluded that its probability of immunity is extremely low. However, she still acknowledges that it still exists. Diane then assured to deal with him properly if he became immune to abilities and bullet her, but she couldn't rest easy. She must figure out whether he really saw her that day or not. Ling then turned to him and asked if he ever saw abilities that allow flight or vanishing into thin air. In his opinions, these so-called abilities were just fantasies of these people. However, he was wondering if someone could really fly in the sky. He revealed that no one with such abilities has been discovered yet. With this, he was able to conclude that these abilities only affect people mentally at most. Team leader then cut the conversation short and ordered everyone to run 30 laps. As everyone complied, he was pondering on the thought of learning some martial arts. Out of nowhere, Thunder came in. He asked him if he wanted help with switching teams, to which he said was fine there. He then revealed that there was a big uproar after the artifact was stolen. However, they still gained something from that incident. They learned that this was done by the underground organization called New World. Learning that the leader can make anyone absolutely loyal, he asked how did they know there was someone like that. Thunder revealed that the Bureau has some techniques and abilities to crack, though this person was very cautious. Hearing this, he learned that Yuna wanted to approach him to take control over him. He then asked Ling if he had any means, to which he said he'll think about it first. Outside the building, he thought that it would be great if Thunder could just catch the culprit directly, but he realized the implications of him failing. She would control a bunch of people every day to bother him. He shook his head, thinking he must come up with a foolproof plan. Suddenly, he heard a familiar voice. It was Yuna being interrogated by Thunder himself. She then called Ling, prompting him to ask if they knew each other. He realized that she was intentionally trying to drag him into trouble. He said that she was just a neighbor who moved in a few days ago. Thunder asked again if they knew each other, to which he clarified that he only knew her name and nothing else. Deep inside, he was rooting for Thunder to seize the opportunity of subduing the New World leader. He then apologized for being rude and politely asked her to cooperate, but she then controlled a man named Yu-Chain. He grabbed the artifact, then raised it while laughing. He broke it immediately, prompting Thunder to subdue him immediately. Seeing the situation unfold, Ling was speechless. He picked up the shattered pieces of the artifact, remarking it was already unusable. He angrily demanded him to give his master's name, to which he pointed to Yuna. Thunder wouldn't believe it, to which Yu-Ching angrily said what was the point of asking him. He ordered for him to be taken back as he will interrogate him later. He knelt to the ground and picked up the shattered pieces of the artifact. He then told Ling to go back first and he will contact him if there's anything. As they left, he was intrigued by her controllability. She then asked him to hop in the car, to which he immediately complied. The traffic light was on a red stoplight. The New World leader thought she was really unlucky today. She looked at Ling who was beside her, thinking he was a sycophant. He was wondering where she hid the jade ruler that she stole back then. She began seducing him, aiming to break through his psychological defenses. She was alluring enough to make him blush. Ling wondered if all controlled people get such great benefits. Yuna saw the perfect opportunity to take control of Ling. She immediately placed his hands between his thighs. He was flustered as he said that the traffic light had already turned. She noticed it and immediately went back to driving. As they traversed the highways, she thought that he appeared completely defenseless both physically and mentally. She smiled knowing that he would make a good licking dog if he was trained well. Back in the apartment, she tried to compliment his cooking. She also barged in while he was showering, even attempting to flirt with him in front of Rong. The landlady had enough of her antics and yelled at her, kicking her out of the room. Back in the Awakener's bureau, Ling spent his time in the gym. He looked Yasi who was wearing her outfit again. He then thought that he would pretend to not see her as long as she doesn't bother her. But there she was again, standing in front of him. She whipped a sharp needle, pointing an inch away from his eyes. He was pissed deep inside, but he couldn't react. She was aiming to exploit his instinctive reactions to determine whether he could see through her invisibility. A group mate then called him, urging him to eat with them. He then agreed while Yasi quickly withdrew her needle. Tired of her countless attempts to bother him, he then schemed something. He stood up and walked, hit his own foot, then pretended to trip and fell over Yasi. He fell on top of her, kissing her lips. They were surprised. Of course, Langa was just pretending. Everyone thought it was an accident, while Yasi blushed as she demanded him to get off her. She then slapped her, to which the other teammates came to defend him. She couldn't refute their arguments, then frustratedly walked out. A girl looked at her, calling her name. With this, he was confident that she wouldn't scheme against him next time. The tester then revealed that Thunder was looking for him. He then entered his room, to which he was greeted by the news of having a traitor within their ranks. He revealed that they have cleared the key departments of any controlled individuals and identified a method to capture the New World leader. Hearing that his help was needed, Ling refused and walked away. Thunder clung onto his legs and begged for him to join. Seeing him this insistent, he had no choice but to ask for the details. They speculated that the enemy would be eager to control other staff, prompting them to lure the enemy out. In other words, they planned to intentionally let someone be controlled then ambush the enemy. He then asked how they were sure that the enemy will choose the person they have arranged, to which he revealed that they had an awakener who can deduce the most suitable candidate that the leader needs. He added that there were methods in place to ensure that the operation goes smoothly. Ling turned around and wished them good luck, to which Thunder asked him to help them. They wrestled as they argued over it. He then heaved a sigh of defeat. He really had no other choice. He looked back at him who was pleading like a puppy. He then told him that he shouldn't be blamed if the enemy managed to escape. At cafeteria, Ling can be seen disguised as a server. He was listening to the reports that came through his earphones. He looked at the people who were serving as their lookouts with a hopeless expression. He said that this plan was basically relying on luck. An order was placed to which he happily obliged. Turns out that the customer was Yuna, asking him what he was doing there. Ling said that he was on a vacation today, covering for a friend who needed some help. But Yuna was still skeptical. It was a given since she had to be more cautious. She then tried to seduce him into spilling the beans, asking if it was a mission from the Awake Nerve Bureau, but he was able to calmly bluff his way out of her seduction. She then got her order and said his rank wasn't low, then excused herself as she left. He looked at her, not expecting that she would really come. At the city, a woman in a bunny costume was eyeing at Licky, a B rank awakener. The bunny woman was aiming to manipulate him. Turns out, she was the new world leader in disguise. Licky looked at his phone as he grew impatient waiting for her. She then came and he said he thought she didn't want to sell the limited edition card anymore. Upon seeing her, he blushed as she asked where was it. The disguised new world leader tried to charm him, then left as she is already finished with her work. Suddenly, agents of the bureau ordered everyone to stay where they were. They subdued Licky as they activated the barrier. She looked up as the restraining net was unleashed in the sky, just realizing she fell into their trap. She immediately ran to the back alleys. She placed her hand on her face, reverting her disguise back into Eunice. She realized the greatness of her situation. She might not be able to break out even with the artifact in her hand. She then remembered about Ling and thought of using him to her advantage. Back in the cafeteria, she approached him. She was speechless for a moment, then pretended to be dizzy and having a hard time breathing. He asked what was wrong with her, to which she made random excuses. He sighed, thinking that things couldn't get any worse. She called her name in seductive manner, then asked him to take her to a bench so that she could rest. He complied, earning him her thanks. She began making moves on him, asking if there was anything on her face. She immediately saw the opportunity and smiled, but was interrupted as the alarms blared. An agent spotted them, revealing that the alarm detected the usage of spiritual energy and asked if anyone was using special abilities. Ling figured out that she tried to seduce and control him. He proceeded to say that he didn't, but she grabbed his sleeves, then told the agent that she was feeling a bit unwell and came there to rest. He then stood up to retaliate, but she covered his lips and leaned closer as she ordered him to stay quiet. The agent was growing suspicious of what they were doing. He grabbed her hands, then clarified that he wasn't using any powers just now. They then kissed, sharing a passionate moment of warmth, which shocked the agent. As they stopped kissing, Ling seemed out of it. The agent questioned his identity, to which he introduced himself as B-rank Awake Nerd from the Awake Nerd Association. He then grabbed her waist and said that his girlfriend wasn't feeling well. She decided to let it go since the controlled individuals automatically choose the best way to protect their master. She smiled, finally taking control of Ling. Another agent was wondering what was going on. The first agent reported the situation. Yuna looked at Ling, wondering if he really was under her complete control. He then introduced himself as an Awake Neuro Association agent, grabbing her and declaring that she was his girlfriend. Albeit surprised, she clung onto him and said he was her boyfriend. She decided to cooperate knowing that he was doing this to protect her. However, the agent was still skeptical. On the other hand, he was wondering if those strange actions were meant to control him. But since he already took advantage of her, he decided to help her out. He flashed a wide smile and asked them to lead the way for the test. He then urged her to go. They queued by the testing machine, Ling thinking of a way to help her out of the instrument's detection. He then happily bragged about jumping the queue immediately, earning them unhappy reactions from the other awakeness. The agents told everyone that they were suspects, so they were focusing on them. Unit couldn't help but think that Ling was pretty clever for someone under her control. Thunder entered the scene asking about the commotion. He calmed down the whiny awakeness, then turned to another agent and told him to follow. He vouched for their identities and said there was no need for testing. However, the person they were looking for has a disguise artifact. With this, he asked Ling about the secret code earlier, to which he told him. Thunder bursted into laughter and confirmed his identity, but the agent was skeptical and asked about Ling being controlled. But being stronger than an S rank, Thunder knew that Ling could never be controlled by the enemy. He then stepped forward and vouched for the identity of his girlfriend. He pat the agent's shoulder and said he trusted him, then ordered him to go. He then turned to him with disbelief that he had a girlfriend. Yuna chimed in saying they had a disagreement back then. She then kissed his cheek saying they already patched things up now. Thunder then dismissed the two of them. As he left, Ling apologized in his mind for purposefully failing the operation and promised to make it up to him soon. Yuna smiled, thinking that her decision of controlling him was a wise one. Back in the apartment, they both came home. She sat on the couch and remarked about his techniques needing improvement. He wondered what she meant by techniques. She had said that taking advantage of her is absolutely not allowed since she was his master. He smiled and said it was his first time, to which she assured him that he would get used to it. But he turned out to be a professional rizzler, leaning closer as he asked if he could practice now. She closed her eyes and told him to kneel down, but he immediately kissed her lips. Rong caught them red-handed. With an ominous tone, she asked what they were doing. Yuna blushed as she tried to make excuses, but her mind was flooded with thoughts. She then pushed him off. She stood up and left, leaving the situation for Ling to handle. Rong asked Ling if Yuna was okay, to which he said that she was just expressing her gratitude to him for helping her. As a literal cat person, she seemed to have just learned that this was how humans show their gratitude. She then called him and asked for a favor. She began by saying that she haven't been going to the massage parlor after that incident. He began caressing her chin as he sympathized with her. She then started getting close, pampering herself on the warmth of his body. She got that dreamy look on her face, then immediately kissed his lips. He was surprised and asked what she was doing, to which she said she was just showing her gratitude. They then happily cuddled on the couch. The next morning, Ling can be seen going out of the apartment. Yuna happened to drop by and told him to hop in the car. He noticed that she seemed a bit off today. In her mind, she was thinking that she can't afford any more reckless moves. As he looked at her, he was silently hoping that she won't realize that he haven't been controlled for real. She then gave him her first order to gather essential intelligence for her, but he was just a B-rank awakener, not having any connections or backing. She asked if they were on good terms with Thunder, but he revealed that he was in a tough spot and does not have the luxury to help others. Since the Jade Ruler is missing, he was primarily responsible for retrieving it within a month. She then ordered him to deliver results and assured that he wasn't alone in this struggle. He complied and they drove through the highway. He agreed for now to avoid rousing her suspicion. At the Awake Nurse Bureau, Ling continued to act as her boyfriend. He kissed her in the cheek before leaving, then bade his goodbye like a typical boyfriend would. This made her really pissed. Ling began running laps as usual for his daily training regimen. A voice was heard calling him, which made him turn. He saw Yasi together with a girl, asking how he was doing. He said he was alright. She then introduced him her best friend, King Hu. She gave him angry look, confusing him. Yasi also noticed it and asked her. She then shifted into polite tone and offered him water. He thanked her and reached for it. He thought that she was trying to poison him. Kingu asked him what was wrong, but he changed the topic and asked about her ability. She said that she doesn't have any ability and insisted on offering the water, but he knew she was lying and insisted on asking her ability. Yasi chimed in and defended King, saying she was a kind-hearted and delicate person. Ling guessed that her ability was to make people unconditionally believe her. Yasi remarked that she was even being nice to offer him water. He then offered it to her since she seemed so jealous, but King Hu strongly reacted and spilled the bottle. Yasi was confused while she couldn't come up with excuses. Ling asked if she was worried that her friend might drink the suspicious water. She defended her and said she would never harm anyone. She then teased her that she might have feelings for him as she wanted him to drink the water. She called her silly, then walked out to buy another bottle. Yasi said that she was quite popular at the Awakener Bureau, making Ling and her worlds apart. But he couldn't care less and went to resume working out, leaving her pissed by his dismissive attitude. Meanwhile, Quen was looking at him enraged, swearing to not let Yasi fall into his hands. Ling vigorously dunked the ball to the basket. As Yasi watched his game, Quen offered her a bottle of water. She then asked if she liked him, making her spit her water. She blushed as she asked for what nonsense she was onto. She began enumerating his good traits, to which she agreed. Looking at him now, she thought he was so much different from back then. Her friend also noticed that she kept on staring at him even though she say she don't like him. They then got up to eat and not pay attention to him anymore. Lane was walking around the hallways when someone called him. It was Quen. She had something to tell him, but he seemed on guard as he remembered the water bottle from earlier. He displayed a dismissive attitude and went on his way, to which she responded with a thick blade that almost kissed his neck. He panicked, asking what she wanted. As he looked at the blade, he was thinking of disarming her. She smiled, saying he noticed it. She offered him the blade to wipe off his sweat, confusing him. He fully understood that her ability was to make people believe her unconditionally. And right now, she was using her ability by referring to the kitchen knife as a towel. If she managed to have him under her influence, he couldn't think of what would happen to him. He stood there as she continued offering him the kitchen knife. He then flicked it away, telling her to not bother him anymore. She was pissed upon hearing this, wondering if he really was affected by her ability. She asked if she had offended him, to which she clarified that he already had someone he liked and didn't want to betray her. She asked who it was, to which he revealed it was Yasi. Quen felt doomed while he was not serious with what he said and was just using her as a shield. With this, she was now determined to kill him. She picked up the kitchen knife, alarming him with her sudden shift in behavior and mood. She then said that they should be very good friends as well since he likes her best friend. He agreed with her statement, though asking her to keep distance. In his mind, he thought that this woman doesn't play by the rules. She then approached him and offered to wipe the dirt on his neck with her knife. He gritted his teeth. This crazy woman is determined to kill him, but his quick wits allowed him to think of immediate plan. He gave her a back hug to signify their friendship. She tried to retaliate and break free from his arms, but then they were seen by Yasi. Quinn called her name, then approached her to try and clear the misunderstanding. She strongly refused the notion that she was into him, even used her abilities to convince her. Ling saw this, confirming his assumptions of what her ability was. Being playful, he grabbed her waist and rode Quinn's bluff, making her uncomfortable. But she couldn't turn against him since she just used her ability to convince Yasi. She had no choice but to smile and agree that they were best buddies. Seeing her capability to hold back, he was impressed. Suddenly, the three of them were summoned for a meeting. Gwen clung onto Yasi's arm as he followed. At the meeting room, team leader, Dane, briefed them of the S-rank monster in the southern part of the city. Yasi asked what kind of creature it was, to which he turned on the television in response. Ling was surprised. It was none other than the cat demon. Dane continued to explain that the cat demon grows stronger by devouring souls. Everyone was in disbelief upon learning that even 3 team leaders weren't able to defeat it. Ling figured out that this was the reason it kept preying on the tenants. As the team leader dismissed everyone, he advised them to be careful and avoid going near the southern part of the city. He knew that the cat demon will definitely go after Rong to be its new host. Before he could leave, Dane called his attention. He offered him some vacant dormitories so he could temporarily leave the southern part of the city, but he refused. However, he was insistent in being cautious. Ling responded by humbling down himself, saying he wasn't exceptional enough to be targeted by the cat demon. But then he expressed his gratitude to him for teaching him despite not showing progress in his ability. As he left, the team leader thought it was a pit to have a member who's diligent but lacks ability. Back in the apartment, it was time for Rong's nighttime massage session. He whined about the couch being too narrow, to which she proposed for them to find a bigger space. She then urged for them to go to his bedroom, in which he found it quite inappropriate. However, it wasn't inappropriate for the innocent Rong who sees no malicious intent. They then happily cuddled on his bed. He then asked her if the cat demon hasn't come to bother her lately. She continued pampering herself in his warmth as she said that she haven't noticed. He happily looked at her, thinking she was no different from a cat. He then blushed upon seeing her beautiful figure. He thought of using it since now they are pretty close, but then he felt a sharp pain in his hands once again. She bit his hand as she meowed. He apologized and asked her to relax, then they continued cuddling. Lane was playing with his life on the line by testing different things. Suddenly, the lights went out. He then asked if Rong forgot to pay the electricity bill, only to find out that she was missing. She stood by the door while he remarked that there was someone outside. From outside can be seen 2 men aiming for him. Turns out they were fanatics of Quinn who were here to punish. Activated their ability to open the door. They stood there confident that they could easily take him out. He then opened the door, to which they smiled as they prepared to attack. One of them charged forward with a punch, but he easily caught his fist. He blamed his partner for letting him block his punch. He then landed a devastating kick to his gut while he wrenched his wrist. With a menacing tone, he told them to get out of here and don't cause trouble again. He slammed the door shut as the two of wondered why he wasn't affected by their abilities. They decided to withdraw for now, certain that Ling was clearly not being controlled by abilities. Since he was hiding it from the association, they planned to report him the next day. But then, it seemed like they won't live to see another day as the cat demon stood in their way. They panicked upon seeing it, knowing it was their end. The next morning, Ling updated Rong before leaving to work. He glanced at Yuna's door, wondering why she hasn't shown up for days. She was technically his girlfriend, and he was starting to miss her a bit. Suddenly, his phone rang. It was Thunder calling him. He was then surprised upon hearing the suspension, making him run off with urgency. Ling saw Thunder in an apron as he revealed that he has been demoted from his position. He apologized for not being able to catch the new world leader and caused his demotion, to which he only shrugged off. Deep inside, he was feeling bad for letting Yuna get away. He pat his shoulder and assured that he could get back his position in no time. Young then appeared and mocked him about what he was going to do to get promoted. Thunder retorted by implying it was his fault that he was in the logistics department. However, he still looked down on the logistics department, which was far from the front lines. He then left, leaving Thunder pissed. He proceeded to explain that the previous Young was too good at disguising himself. He said that the artifact was stolen and he wasn't even at the scene, so it has nothing to do with him. But many of those involved were Young's trusted aides, making him resent Thunder. Ling remarked that he was such a hypocrite. He turned to him and advised him to be careful when moving around the Awake Nurse Bureau. He smiled as he thanked him. Thunder then excused himself and waved goodbye, leaving him determined to help him get back to his position by catching the cat demon. At the bureau, Dion urged him to move into the dormitory as soon as possible. He revealed the news about 2 Awakers who lost their lives to the cat demon near his apartment. He was surprised that upon hearing this, it was the 2 troublemakers from yesterday. He remarked that the cat demon has become stronger and was stirring up trouble again. He knew that this situation is grave. What if it can possess people during the day too? He immediately thought of Rong, then urgently excused himself. He ran outside, phone ringing as he tried to contact her. He reached the apartment and called for her, but not even her shadow can be seen inside the place. He had a guess that she has been taken by the cat demon. He ran off, aiming to find her as soon as possible. At the police station, he immediately reported her as a missing person. He added that she was missing since an hour ago, but the police needed concrete evidence that she was in danger or he had to wait 24 hours. However, it was revealed that official personnel are required to cooperate with agents when dealing with ability-related incidents. He asked for them to arrange someone capable and access to all nearby surveillance footage. Then a voice was heard making them turn. It was Yahello, a probationary police officer who seemed unsatisfied of the awakeness attitude. However, lives are at stakes, so he immediately demanded her to take him to the surveillance room. She sighed with defeat and asked him to follow, leading him to the surveillance room. They browsed the footages but didn't see any traces of her, making him wonder how it was possible. He then proceeded to personally review the footage for reassurance. The screen showed a cat entering the apartment, then leaving it shortly after as it rode her shoulder. He was mad that the police officers missed this part of the footage, but she said there was nobody in the video at all. He realized she had been affected by the cat demon's ability and ordered her to extract the surveillance footage from various areas. He added that this was an order. They browsed the footages. He smiled in delight as he found what he was looking for. At a remote warehouse, the demon cat possessing Rong stood before Yan and another agent. He turned to him and said they could not afford to worry about the possessed humans. He clarified whether he meant taking down the girl as well. But since his position was at stake, he couldn't afford failure. The cold-blooded Yan only saw her as a necessary sacrifice for the peace and well-being of the people.